Earlier this year, when the world turned upside down, Lin-Manuel, Miranda and the crew over at Hamilton and Disney decided to not throw away their shot and placed one of, if not the most hottest musicals on Broadway right now on Disney Plus for the entire world to see. Now, was it really worth it? Did it leave us satisfied? I'm sorry for the really bad Hamilton puns just then. Yeah, but was it really worth it? So we're going to discuss all of that in this video. That's right, Innovators. This is the Hamilton musical review on Disney Plus. Here we go.
Okay, so I just met Stephen Amell. The cinematography of this movie was incredible.
Hey Innovators, it's me Jordan here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now Innovators, if you've been following me for a while, you know I am a massive musical theatre fan. Like, as much as I absolutely love DC and Marvel, musical theatre is what I have been since, like, as early as I can remember, I've been a musical theatre person. That's just who I am in my blood. I just love it so much, and so I've always loved musicals, right? Now, this musical in particular, Hamilton, I haven't been the biggest fan of until a few months ago. Like, I listened to a few songs, and I think my sister even performed some at a concert once, and so I like those songs, and I listened to them a couple of times on Spotify and stuff, but like, I never really got into it, you know, like knowing the lyrics and being part of the fandom and stuff. How much I regret not being in the fandom earlier, that's a different story, but the fact is, I was never actually in the fandom prior to watching the musical on Disney Plus, and I'm always going to regret that. But anyway, when I heard about the news that Hamilton will be on Disney Plus for the entire world to see, I got really excited because obviously, as you know, I live in Australia, absolutely nowhere near New York, so I can't go and see it on Broadway or the West End or whatever, and so I just love the fact that it went on Disney Plus and we could all see it and I could finally properly get introduced to it without having to listen to the soundtrack, and so it was just absolutely great news. And like, as soon as I possibly could, I pressed play on Disney Plus to watch this musical. I was just so excited to see it, and did it really live up to the hype? We're going to discuss this all in this review. Now, a lot of you guys may be thinking, it is October. Why are you releasing a review of a movie that came out back in July in October? Well, it's September for me while filming this, but you know, October when it gets released, this video. Why 3 months later? You see. Okay, look. I don't think I've rewatched a show or a musical or something as many times as I have of Hamilton on Disney Plus. I am diehard obsessed with this musical, okay? So that's one thing. I haven't had time to do it because I've just been watching it on repeat. But also, because musical theatre has just such a special place in my heart, I really wanted to make sure I could absolutely perfect this review. I think this review will be one of the best I ever do, because I'm really proud of this script I've come up with, and it's taken me a very long time to perfect this script of what I'm going to say in this video. I've spent like the last few weeks, if not months, like writing this script, and I think I finally got it perfect enough to be able to film this review. So I've been trying really hard to make this video the best it possibly could be because it's so special in my heart. And so yeah, I'm really excited to discuss it. I hope you guys can still enjoy you know, discussing about it 3 months later. But anyway, so as you know, all my reviews are split into 3 parts. You have the things that I love about this musical, the things that I thought was okay, and the things that I just did not like at all. The thing about this musical is there is too many things that I loved about this musical that I can't actually fit it into one section. So I've actually split the good things into 2 different sections just so I could actually talk about everything individually. I've never had to do that once. That just shows how much I love this musical. Okay, I need to calm down. Alright, so let's get started with the good stuff and the technical aspects of the show in particular. The first thing I want to say in this category is the phenomenal cast. Like, obviously we have Leslie Odom Jr., Phillipa Sue, Anthony Ramos, Jonathan Groff, Chris Jackson. They're all absolutely amazing. They all perfectly embody their character. Pretty much the entire cast, in other words. I just love everyone. They were so perfectly cast. Everybody embodies the character very well. And like, it allows you to connect with them on an emotional level that you never thought you would ever be able to before. The singing and rapping is unlike literally anything ever seen on Broadway before. I think Daveed Diggs actually has the fastest rap on Broadway, which is amazing. You know, even Lin, look, while he may not be like the strongest singer, I think everyone knows that, his acting absolutely outweighs, you know, his singing. Like, the way he's able to emote with his eyes, or, you know, through the shaking of his voice or something, the way he's able to emote and act is just absolutely, like, it's phenomenal. The entire cast has specific things that I just absolutely, I love about it. They were just so perfectly cast. Everyone has something special to their portrayals, and I love this cast so much. I've watched nothing but non-stop interviews of them on YouTube and everything. I just love this cast so much, and they were all perfectly cast. Great job, casting directors. adding on to the phenomenal cast, what I love about the cast was that the musical had a very, very diverse representation within the cast and everybody. And while people may say it's not really historically accurate because, you know, Aaron Burr and, I don't know, Hercules, Mulligan weren't black people, I love the way Lin puts it. He says, it is the story of back then told by the people now. And that is just, it's a great way to put it, because it shows the evolution of diversity throughout time in such a creative way by showing, you know, how it's formed from just all white men forming this country into nowadays they can have black people tell the story. I love that description, and I absolutely love the representation, and it's record breaking for so many reasons, and the representation is definitely one of the reasons. It has absolutely phenomenal choreography by Andy. I can't remember his last name, but Andy, even that is utilized to tell a story. Like in the song My Shot, like they have this move, which is like the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever. Like I saw this video of Andy like showing My Shot and Yorktown, and how these like every single move is used to tell a story of what he's thinking. Like thoughts are weighing on the back of Hamilton's head. Like every single move, it is so artistic and so well thought out. He's amazing. Everybody in this cast is a genius, I swear. It's just absolutely amazing. And the incredible dance break in Yorktown. Oh, there's just so many good moments in this musical. The spectacle of the musical in regards to like the action and everything is just absolutely, it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. How they are able to translate all these events, like the simplest thing, like a little election or something, or a cabinet battle or something, and allow you to like be fully invested and like be on the edge of your seat, is something that needs to be truly recognized. Like this goes for everything in this show. Like, look, I never thought I'd really care about a cabinet battle about Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton, the two founding fathers of America, or two of the founding fathers of America, battling it out. Like, I don't care. But the way Lin does it, like, it's a rap battle, and it somehow makes me fully lost in it. Like, here I am. I never thought I'd actually be fully immersed into these characters. Like, it takes boring old topics, no offense to people who like history, but it takes, boring old topics that, people my age might not like, and uses modern techniques like rap, to translate messages, and makes people of all generations fully invested in the show. Like, I never thought I would be invested. I've done extensive research on Hamilton's life and the founding of America. I'm actually fully invested in these characters. Well, they're not characters, real life historical figures now, and I never thought I'd ever be. And that's thanks to this musical. What they are able to do is revolutionary. Get it? Adding on to the phenomenal choreography, the phenomenal set is used to, translate messages, with it being, young, just like America in the first intermission. And over the intermission, the set evolves and stuff, and it grows and stuff. And that shows, the evolution of America and the time jump and everything. How the simplest of details can be used to show the simplest of information, but also very, very significant information, is just absolutely beyond me. As simplistic as it is, the undisguisable set and props are used in a very impactful manner throughout the entire show. We've got the amazing turntable, which is used. I love the way that turntable is utilised throughout the entire musical. And I love the things that they walk around. I think he calls them surrounds or something like that. Oh, and they the set is just amazing. Every aspect of this show I love. Okay. The phenomenal scoring by Lin and Alex. The way they differentiate each song and make it its own, but somehow also contribute to the overall narrative and style, is remarkable. The orchestrations and musical direction is absolutely exceptional. I have no idea how one can have such creativity, and it's just absolutely amazing. And the recurring themes in music, which they've become iconic over time, is used to tell a story as a motive, and I will elaborate on this soon in the storytelling section of this review. All of it is just amazing. Alex Lashmore and Lin-Manuel Miranda are two living geniuses, one of the best of our generation, if not of all time, so they're just absolutely amazing. The lighting is also very, very well done, used to evoke certain moods and themes and set the tone. One obvious moment is the I'm So Blue moment with King George, What Comes Next, and he stamps and then, it comes blue. That's amazing. But also the phenomenal lighting in the Yorktown dance break, and then, it has red lights, and then it goes into the spotlights and everything. That is amazing. The lighting is just amazing. I can't express how much I love this show. I also love that one of, if not the most popular musical, I spoke about this earlier on, it's now professionally captured and it's professionally distributed for everybody to see on Disney+. It also allows us to have a different perspective, which we probably would never see otherwise, the back of King George's head when he's walking down the stage, or George Washington. While it wasn't the best cinematography, which I'll elaborate on later, the show allowed us to be intimate with the cast and have it all in HD instead of having to watch, crappy little shaky bootlegs online, because I'm too familiar with those ones. But yeah, I love how intimate you got to the cast, and you get the best seat in the house, which is the way Lynn describes it. And I love this idea of distributing it professionally. And I really hope that more musicals do this forward and have more pro shots, like maybe Aladdin, Dear Evan Hansen, Wicked. Oh, I hope so. I really hope so. The possibilities are really endless, and I love this idea, and I'm so excited to see where they take musicals next. So yeah, that is all I have for the good stuff in regards to the technical aspects of the show. Like, when I say technical, I mean like the actual things that make up the show, like the sets or stuff like that, the lighting. But now let's just talk about the actual story of the show. This is the good stuff, the impact of the story. Here we go. Okay, so I can't talk about the impact of the story without talking about Lin-Manuel Miranda. So let's talk about Lin-Manuel Miranda for a second. I will go on record to say that this man, I believe, is one of the best, most ingenuitive, see what I mean, and revolutionary man, see what I mean again, in the arts of all time, period. With a brain capacity unbeknownst to the human race. Like, I absolutely refuse to believe that Lin wrote this whole musical. Like, it just does not seem like one person could write this entire musical like the way he did it. Like, it has impeccable timing, brilliant writing, and, utilizes incredible storytelling techniques such as motifs and alliteration in a way that truly revolutionized art forever and ever. And creates an exceptional narrative, all while singing mostly in rap non-stop. Another reference. You just stop. I'm sorry. There's absolutely no way one man can have such ability, and the range of this man's writing and storytelling is forever and ever going down, in my opinion, as one of the most well-written pieces of all time. And I'm going on record to say that. I think so. It's just... I love it so much. Obviously, the music and styles play a massive role into this too. Like, the songs are used as motifs, having like recurring themes and lines that return many times throughout the musical to tell a story. Like, for example, the mission of Hamilton is to not throw away his shot and Burr to wait for it, and this comes back many times throughout the musical and creates a mood which allows you to like connect through the characters throughout time and get to know them better. And also, like, for example, My Shot, it's a song that is used to originally tell the motivation of Hamilton and convince Burr, Lafayette, Lawrence, and Mulligan to like let him join the revolution and work together and stuff. But this does so much more than that. It's not just about convincing them. Like, the line reoccurs in Right Hand Man, Yorktown, and the final song of Act 1, Non-Stop, which that song, let me just say, is just absolutely amazing. It's just absolutely genius because like it connects all of Act 1 like together, and like it's just absolutely amazing. Having so many lines from other songs, creating a bigger picture, it's just amazing. Anyway. And so in all those songs I described, it's about, telling the story of what Alex was placed on this earth to do, what is his mission in the limited time that he would be on it. Hamilton states that this is what he was meant to do, and he was put on the earth to lead, and he was put on the earth to have an impact. And that's what this entire musical is about, legacy. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in the garden that you never get to see. I'm sorry. Okay. Like, another example is, in The World Was Wide Enough, where eventually at the end, Alex throws away his shot and Burr doesn't wait for it. But instead it's flipped, and it creates like a massive emotional paradox. Everything that this musical leads up to the Act 1 and Act 2 finales. And the final monologue as to like what will Hamilton do with his legacy and everything, and what will he do next. Like, will he throw away the shot and aim at the sky, or will he actually aim at Burr? That's like that monologue thing that he discusses. Like, the way Lin captivates this is something to absolutely be astonished by. Motifs is a great storytelling technique that is used throughout the entire musical. I watched this whole video. I've done a lot of research into this review. This one's all about like what the power of motifs throughout the musical Hamilton, which I will leave in the description box down below, which I recommend watching. It is great. It will really, if you didn't like this musical, it will really change your mind. Another example of like motifs and perspectives used throughout the entire musical is the helpless satisfied transition. Like, what happens in that scene, the flawless transition between the two songs, and the execution of like different perspectives when Alex meets Angelica and like Eliza, and you get to see different perspectives and stuff like that. Look, it's absolutely genius. Look, it may not have been the most historically accurate in real life, but this scene allows us to explore this character of Angelica, and this, there were amazing scenes throughout the entire show that allowed us to best understand like each character, while still playing an integral part to the overall storyline. Like Wait For It and Remember What Happens for Burr, One Last Time for Washington, Helpless for Eliza, Blow Us All Away for Philip, etc. I love that pretty much no character in this musical is a side character. Like everybody is integral to the overall plot, and everyone gets a chance for them to shine. Like even the simplest characters, like a bullet or something. Even though they may not be in it that much, every single character is integral, and everyone gets their own chance to shine in an amazing way. And it's just absolutely amazing. Speaking of the bullet, we have absolutely incredible metaphors throughout the entire show. For example, like earlier on in the show when she just missed Hamilton, symbolizing that he just missed his death or it's coming. That is absolutely amazing. Or when the guy that they killed with the red coat, the bullet gives to Lawrence and then that transfers the death to Lawrence. These incredible metaphors is just, it's genius. It's absolutely genius. And it's just absolutely brilliant writing and used marvelously throughout the entire show to tell a phenomenal story. And adding on to before, like, no characters aren't important to the overall story. Like, every single song in this entire musical is also important. Like, you blink and you miss something, and in a few songs that theme will come again, and you're like, oh wow, that was from before. And like, every single song just comes together, and it's absolutely amazing. Like, even the song, that throwaway song that no one knows, it's like A Winter's Ball. No one really knows that song, but then it comes back and satisfied when they go back in time. It's just, every single song is important, and it's just absolutely amazing. Every time you rewatch the musical, you're like, oh wow, I never really noticed that before. That's going to come back later on in the musical, or that means something else I didn't know before. It's just, there are so many layers to every single song and every single scene in this entire musical, and it always keeps you on the edge of your seat. The action is non-stop. I need to stop using that word, but I didn't actually mean it for a Hamilton reference that time. But yeah, it is literally non-stop, at least in the first act, and it always keeps you on the edge of your seat. You can't take a break in this musical. It just always keeps you involved. There's not a possible way you can get bored in Hamilton. It's just absolutely amazing. And what this musical did to not only theatre in involving, history and new styles, but it inspired people all around the world to pick up a book and, really learn more about the Founding Fathers of America, including myself, a young Australian who couldn't give two craps about Hamilton and the Founding Fathers prior, and I am fully invested in these historical figures. I spoke about this before. Like, it allows you to understand these characters and connect with them in a medium that has never been portrayed before. As I said, like, I never thought I'd do as much research, but here we are. It's just absolutely amazing. They told an old story using modern techniques to entice new generations, and it's revolutionary, and it's truly something significant, and one of the best pieces of art of all time. And this is one of the reasons why it had such a significant impact throughout history. Obviously, as well as being on stage by a phenomenal, adoring cast, the style of R&B and rap also plays a big part into making this musical a cultural phenomenon and enticing multiple generations, including like most recent. It is like the first of its kind, and even just the thought of rap in a Founding Fathers musical just does not make sense at all. Like at the White House, even Obama and everyone laughed because, like, really? Hamilton embodies rap? Like, it's laughable, the idea, and it sounds so weird, but it is just so well executed and will forever be known as the musical that revolutionized musical theatre and experimented with the ideas never even considered before for music theatre. It's just, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Adding on to the differences in, like, songs and stories, Lin-Manuel Miranda manages to balance, like, all these different tones and styles to create an overarching narrative, like from a fun scene like the Winter's Ball, and like, they're obsessed with the girls and stuff like that, and they're just talking about what they have in common, and King George just saying, like, those amazing scenes. King George is obviously, the comic relief character, saying he'll kill your family as a sign of love, which, let me just say, Groff is a national, if not international, treasure. His performance in this musical is amazing. Anyway, so yeah, the way they're able to balance all these, like, light tones with also very emotional tones, like going back to the war, and making you an emotional wreck when you have significant losses, like Eliza in tears when Lawrence dies, or when Philip dies. Like, the way they are able to balance these tones and pull it all into 2 hours and a half is absolutely amazing. Like, the emotional roller coaster you put on this film, or this musical, is absolutely like no other. And that's why I really resonate with this musical. It has the ability to, I'm a musical theatre nerd, but I'm not really that emotional of a person, like when it comes to watching things and stuff like that. But somehow, I still managed to, it still had the ability to get to my heart and make me really care about these characters, like Philip dying or whatever. Like, I wouldn't really care prior, but it somehow manages to get to your heart and make you feel emotional. I was just so invested in these characters, and that's what the show does really, really well. I also really love the idea of, like, Burr as a narrator throughout the entire musical, and, who gets to tell your story when you're gone? It took me and many others a while to realise that he's the narrator. Like, this really summarises your legacy, and, like, how it is handled, and that you have no control who tells your story or, you know, who does what with your legacy. You know, like having Burr there to narrate Hamilton's perspective from different events and stuff like that allows for some really interesting storytelling and dynamics with the villain of his story being the one to narrate his life. It's actually a genius idea and genius concept, and it's really, like, I really love the way that was executed throughout the entire musical. So, yeah, I could go on and on about how much I love this musical, but I think I'm going to wrap it up there on what I love about this musical, and there's really not much else to talk about in the next few categories because I just love it so much. So let's move on to the mixed stuff, which are the things that I didn't love, but I didn't hate, or maybe not even me, maybe the general reception, what I thought of the general critiques of this musical. So let's get on with that, the mixed stuff. So the first thing in this category is the cinematography. I didn't actually think it was anything too exceptional. I didn't think it was bad, but I think they could have been a little bit more creative with the different with the different with the different shots and angles and stuff like that. Like, it was cool getting different perspectives, as I said before, but I feel like it was just quite bland. Like, I feel like when you look at the Tony's performance and you look at this musical, you can kind of see that which one lacks in like creativity when it comes to camera movement and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one thing I think Thomas Kail could have improved on, because he was the director of the musical and also of the film. I think he could have improved that a little bit. But yeah, I did not think it was anything too bad, but I didn't think it was anything too exceptional either. So let's get into this. Obviously, the major complaint from this musical is that people are claiming that there is very little, if not no mention to the slavery, and in a way kind of glorifies the issue and the Founding Fathers. This is where I stand on this. To begin, the Founding Fathers were not glorified, I don't think. Like, I was listening to a podcast of Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he explicitly made it clear that Alexander Hamilton is not glorified in this musical at all. Look, each of them was shown to have flaws, whether it be, you know, the affair, or, you know, highlighting slavery during the cabinet battle, or, you know, George Washington's fails as a leader in One Last Time, stuff like that. Each one has different flaws that are highlighted throughout the entire musical. One thing is absolutely certain, however. This piece of art is what is called historical fiction, which is where it is heavily based on historical event, but it doesn't have to be exactly word for word or whatever happened, you know? Like, due to the medium and to better entice its audience, they need to add more suspense and limit details that may be considered tedious to the general audience. And it was already a 3-hour musical anyway. And it's not like the issue of slavery was ignored either, because, you know, we have many mentions throughout the entire show, like Eliza speaking out against slavery in the final monologue, or, you know, speaking out against it in the cabinet battle, or the slave in What Did I Miss? You know, how he flickers them away or whatever. And, like, from introducing us, from there we can choose to research more about slavery or other political controversies and scandals and stuff like that. The show is historically inaccurate in many ways. Like, I think there was already another brother in the musical when he says, "Take a break, I want a little brother." But being historically inaccurate does not make for a bad show. Like what I say to all the people in my Discord server, which if you have not, feel free to join. Links in the description. Like, what everyone says on there is, you know, I didn't like this episode or this movie because it wasn't, like, comic book accurate. And I said, well, that doesn't make for a bad, you know, piece of art. Like, just because it's not exactly, you know, accurate to the source material, it doesn't mean that it's bad, because it could be a completely different interpretation of it. When it comes to this, obviously it is based on a historical event, so we can't necessarily change all these major details. You can just choose to ignore a few things or choose to manipulate small details, because it is historical fiction. It's not. No one said it was a history lesson. It's not a documentary. It's purely historical fiction. So that's a kind of different story by saying it's not comic book accurate. But it goes for this. It's not a history lesson, and it made its own interpretation to, you know, better modify it for the stage, if that makes sense. I hope I explained that well. This show at its core tells the narrative of the Founding Fathers and the foundation of America and the life of Hamilton. Slavery, while a terrible problem, obviously, that occurred throughout history, did not really fit well the narrative of what Lin was going for, but it didn't also completely ignore it either. That is just my opinion as where I stand on that issue, how I didn't think they were glorifying them. But of course, you are welcome to disagree, but I don't think that was that major of an issue to me, because I could see past it and realise that's not what the show was going for, and it wasn't meant to be historically accurate word for word or whatever. You know, it's only historical fiction. So that's where I stand on it. It's already 3 hours anyway, pretty much, so I don't know. They're gonna have a 4-hour-and-a-half musical. It was already 6 years of Lin's life trying to, like, compact, like, 30 years of historical evidence and stuff together into a 3-hour musical. So yeah, I think it would have been incredibly hard to also incorporate slavery into the topic as well. And I think we got enough of it mentioned throughout the entire musical that it didn't seem that big of a problem, if that makes sense. It wasn't like they completely ignored it. It was still an issue. Those are really only the two things that I have in the mixed category, that I didn't think the cinematography was anything too exceptional, and the issue of slavery, which I didn't think was really a bad thing. I was just going off, I was responding to the criticisms from the public. That's just where I stand on it. As I said, you're welcome to disagree. So let's move on to the final category in this review, which is the things that I did not like about Hamilton at all. And there is pretty much nothing in this category because I love this musical so much. Here we go. The first thing in this category, and I would never forgive Lin or anyone involved in the musical, how dare they do this? There was not enough Aunt Peggy. There was not enough. We saw her in the Schuyler sisters, and then she came back a few more times, but we never even addressed her death. We never see her reacting to the war or anything. We just see her standing behind the Yorktown battle, and we need more Aunt Peggy in our lives, No. No, you know what? Boycott Hamilton. Boycott Hamilton. Make it trending on Twitter. I know it's already trendy because of the slavery issue, but, no, can't boycott Hamilton. I can't. Not enough Aunt Peggy. Okay. Obviously, that's a joke. But yeah, I don't really have a major problem with this. It's just the tiniest criticism I could have given to make it a little bit more better. And that is, I feel like we could have had a little bit more of Eliza's reactions to different events, and could have spent a little bit more time on, her reaction to the Reynolds pamphlet. I didn't say we have to have 3 more songs dedicated to what she thought of it, but maybe we could just see her in the background or something, just like seeing on TV, not TV, but seeing her in paper or something that, he's released these documents and everything. Like, we got Burn, obviously, but that was after she already found out. She starts to burn all them. We never actually got to see her single-handed reaction to, when the Reynolds pamphlet was released, or, maybe we could see a letter. She gets a letter from when her father, which died a few months before Philip Jr., sorry, maybe we could see her receiving a letter or something saying, oh, my father died too, or something like that. I feel like we could have used a bit more of that. And of course the ending, we see what happens after Hamilton dies and what did she do after that with the orphanage and everything. But we never see her reaction to Alexander's death. I have a perfect idea. If Lin ever wants to take it up on me, I'm okay. You don't need to give me credit or anything. This is all your idea. I just love to see it. Bring back Phillipa soon also. We can make an Eliza the musical. It can be called Eliza. It'll take place, it'll start when they're young, and maybe they can talk about slavery here with his father owning slaves and Eliza owning slaves too, so we don't glorify Eliza. Take place through the entire war, her perspective, what she was doing at home when she was pregnant, because that's kind of brushed over in the musical, what she's doing throughout the war, her reaction to when it's over, and then Hamilton comes back, and then we can see her reaction to all these different events, and then we can spend the rest of the musical just discussing how does she set up this orphanage. We can see her going set it all up and speaking up against slavery and the Washington Monument. We could see all these different things. And I think there's so much more story to tell with Eliza's character. And Lin, please, if you're watching this, make it happen. I know you can. That's actually a great idea. Hit me up on it. I'm all good. My DMs are open on Discord and stuff like that, so feel free to do that. But look, that's really all the complaints I've got. Just maybe we could have gotten the tiniest bit more reaction. I know, as I said, for slavery, it's already a 3-hour musical, but opening up a letter and just going, or something like that, that's probably 10 seconds. I think you could have done something like that. But yeah, so we've discussed all the things that I loved about the technical aspects of the show. I would discuss what I think about the actual impact of the story and the storytelling devices such as motifs and stuff like that throughout the entire musical. And we've also discussed about the cinematography and the slavery issue throughout the entire musical, and we've discussed a little bit about was not enough Peggy, and also what they could do with Eliza's character going forward, if they ever want to continue it. I think Lin said that he is writing a new musical at home, so I'm curious as to what that is. I doubt it's something related to Hamilton. But anyway, so that is the end of my review. I'm going to give a conclusion right now. So here we go. Overall, Hamilton is a phenomenal, breathtaking, revolutionary musical. One of the best art pieces of our entire generation, if not of all time, comprised of a phenomenal and ingenious, exquisite writing by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's a living genius. This musical has something for absolutely everybody and perfectly captures the life of Alexander Hamilton and the foundation of America. It has incredible storytelling devices used throughout the entire musical, and every single little technical thing behind the scenes adds even more to the already amazing musical. I love how much detail and effort went into this musical. Take a shot every single time I said musical in that paragraph. But anyway, I love how much detail and effort went into this, and how you learn more every single time. While you may not connect with it as much as musical theatre kids do, if you love history, rap, musicals, anything really, you should most definitely give this amazing musical a chance. You will not regret it, trust me. It for sure lives up to the hype, and it left me satisfied and helpless. Oh my gosh. Just thinking about this musical. I'm going to rewatch it tonight because why not? Okay. Anyway, so that is the end of my Hamilton review. Thank you guys so much for watching this and sticking with this. I've just had so much to discuss and I probably missed a few points anyway. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications so you guys know when I upload a new video. Hamilton is coming to Australia next year in Sydney, and I am so excited. I will definitely be vlogging that. Oh, I love it so much, and Hamilton's really helped me throughout this entire quarantine, as I'm sure it has for many of you musical theatre fans. And I'm so grateful that they released this, and now I've got a new thing to be addicted to. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. My name is Jordan, and I am out.